there's a slowness in the uptake. You know, if the world is in a race between enlightenment and self-destruction, it's kind of balanced at the moment. We're not quite sure which way it's going to tip. Wilbur and I and other transpersonal thinkers want it to move in the direction of, the therapeutic reclamation of the soul, which is James Hillman's point, another great transpersonal thinker, inspired by Jung. And there are many others that I've listed on the website. So their basic argument is that the future of humanity, if we're going to have a future, is going to be the transpersonal domain, which we learn to cohabit. It's like nobody owns enlightenment, nobody owns love, nobody owns joy, nobody owns the virtues. We co-share them. And I list the kind of virtues of transpersonal thought: holistic understanding, listening, communication, kindness, politeness, gentleness, courtesy, active imagination. So reality, there's a wonderful book called Reality is Imagination by Robert Avens, Western Nirvana in the works of Hillman and others. And Jung used active imagination. Non-violence is part of this, as all the sages have always taught. Individuation, which was Jung's idea, is by being your true self. If we're all doing that, we build a good society. So individuation is a path also to socialization and social good. Enlightenment is, the faculty within us. I mean, the French philosophers talked about the Enlightenment, but we need to actually do that. It's not a time, it's a state of being that we have to actualize again. Epoche, suspension of judgment on things we don't understand or find difficult, and then we go into it and study them. Active dreaming, forgiveness, these are all ideas that transpersonal thinkers are working with. And in a sense, it's just revisiting at a higher turn of the spiral earlier ideas of Jains and Buddhists and Christians, early Christians and so on. It's all very exciting. And Eros is part of that. So the transpersonalization of Eros is to realize that love is between people, is part of this. That's why we're here. It's how we got here. Our parents had the courage to love each other, and it's not a catastrophe that we've fallen into matter. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. So anyway, those are those two. Okay, how much longer have we got here? Not long really. So we'll finish there in that case.
11 minutes.
Okay. I'll finish by reading a poem. I don't think we've got time for a tarot. I was going to do a tarot of the gods. We won't have time. But I will finish with a poem, if that's okay. Do you have any other final questions before I do that?
Yes. I'm sorry.
No, it's very
because this topic was also very interesting for me.
Yes.
And nowadays we have, I think, in our world, two characteristics that struck me. One is psyche, the knowledge and the concern about each one's psyche.
Yes.
And our parents, they didn't care so much about the psychology.
Right.
And the other one is the internet and the easiness of communication. That's also a kind of image of transpersonal ability to be connected.
Sure.
To establish a relationship. So how can you how do you see this increasingly rapid evolution in these two topics?
Yes.
With the perspective of the transpersonal harmony of the
Yes.
world.
Yeah. So, well, I think it's a good sign really, because the more we discover about the soul, the psyche, the more infinite it appears. I mean, I've got friends that are doing brain research, studying neurons, trying to find consciousness. They can't find it because it's everywhere. We live in the middle of the sea of consciousness, which is what Heraclitus said. Heraclitus, all those years ago in ancient Greece, said, the soul is infinite. To study the soul, you will never come to the end of it, in Greek. And so did Parmenides and all the other pre-Socratic thinkers already got there. The internet and AI, its latest thing, are a tremendous tool if we use them wisely. My concern is that too many people with dark thinking, who haven't cleaned out their psyche, haven't purified their soul, so it's still full of violence and othering, so they hate those guys, so they misuse the internet to wage war, cyber war, against those guys and those guys. And too many dark agents around the planet are waging cyber warfare, misusing this gift. Now, I'm challenging my friends who work in advanced AI to invent a way of doing AI that can bring peace. It's one of the things I want the Nonagon to do, and its equivalents in other countries. So at the moment, AI is, or the internet, Facebook, social media, they're weaponized to find alternatives and polarizations and black and white and we hate you and you hate us, because that sells. You know, it's like the old newspapers used to sell war and violence and murder because it sells, right? What we need is to get AI to a higher level where it's working on synthesis. And so instead of spying on people's Facebook sites to say, oh, he supports Palestine, let's send hate speech at him. No, use AI to find a common understanding between Israel and Palestine so that we can present a map of peace using the advanced AI. So I think it's a big ask, but it's there. The technology is possible, but the soul of the people that wield the technology has to be purified in order to make it possible. And that's where the spiritual traditions come in. They've got to do meditation, they've got to do prayer to be able to know what they should be doing with all that knowledge. Okay, I'm going to finish with a poem I wrote in Jerusalem, which is appropriate, in 1995. It's called From Zedekiah's Caverns. There's a place under Jerusalem which is said to have been hollowed out by Zedekiah, a king, in really ancient times. Add to this everything, the impossible architectures of meaning, hewn stones quarried from the depths beneath, taken up into the temple, boulders for B, carrying the load of eternal mind, its long travail, and the dry cracked trail before dawn scorches us with its infinite implications. Only a few marks remain, incised signs, furrowed from dream substance, drawn from dark nectar. Prophets and seers have peered here into the abyss, deciphering unclear destinies from formlessness. Shadow shapes hunch over the shoulders of time to become seeing, entered into the primal point of nothingness, predicting praise. Its sweet glory shall run honey beneath, in the soul's loins. Though the fires above flash cosmic flares of hot vowels, clashing noise, shoveling death, and the scythe cuts windwards to the sea. Remember the stories of great goodness, when into the open voyage you head out, venturesome and innocent as flowers, splashing white and gold and lucid crystal, gone beyond all possible recall. build up anew from the hewn caverns basic structure towards a coming citadel of joy, wherein all alphabets are reconciled by lovers, dancing out the script of life itself, fresh as the dew. Your consort, her soft eye scans truth's blaze in the wide heavens through. Voila, a poem. And there's lots of resonance with what we were talking about. It's saying the same thing in poetry.